Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome to another live news show. I'm here with Turkish. How you doing, mate?
All good, bro.
Got a lot to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, we've got some... Listen, it was a good weekend for Arsenal because they won. But some results didn't quite go the way we hoped they would. So we're going to break that down. We'll talk about some Arteta comments. We'll talk about the top four race in general. Let's get straight into it because there was a clip that went round of you very confidently saying that, don't worry, City have got this.
I know, the one moment I decided to step out of that box.
The one moment that you thought, I'm going to say this with chest.
A bit of confidence.
I know. What happened, Turkish? What happened?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Pep Guardiola what happened. Because, Tottenham have done that to City a few times. They've done a double over them this season. No one expected it.
Way too many times, actually.
I might have said it. I might have got clipped for it. But 99% of the football population would have agreed with me at that time. It didn't look like they'd be taking anything from the game. Mm-hmm. But they did. They took all 3 points. Listen, if we won, so that's the main thing. We can only take care of what we can take care of. Tottenham, yes, they've had a couple poor performances in the last month or so, a couple poor results, but they've also won a couple in the last couple minutes. And when you look back at a season, you look at those games, and sometimes those games are the biggest difference at the end. So I'm hoping that's not the case this time round. But it did feel like a blow, especially after getting 3 points. By the time I touched my house, Tottenham had got the 3 points against City. So it did feel like a bit of a blow, but then you got to sit back and say, you know what, we got our 3 points, we got our job done. So the reality is, you're going to get weekends like this too, where we've been kind of lucky in the past few weeks where other teams around us have been dropping points even though we haven't been playing. Mm-hmm. So we've got to take, the good with the bad sometimes, and that result was bad for us.
And the good thing is that we did our job. So, it's like, listen, we've done what we can. We can't affect that. We can't blame ourselves. Fair play to Spurs, going to the Etihad and winning. It was kind of frustrating because you looked at the fact they lost at the Bridge and then they lost the 2 home games. You thought, this is a really nice opportunity to open a gap that and build a bit of a cushion that we're going to need at some point this season with the games we know we've got coming. It didn't materialise that way. What is it? I know this is an Arsenal channel and we're not here to break down Spurs' amazing win, all that, but I think we've got to ask a question. What are Spurs doing when they go to the Etihad and in these games? What have they got? I don't think they're a better team than us.
No.
So what have they got that has over several years given them a shout at these? I remember them getting battered from pillar to post at the Etihad, and they drew 2-2. That was just before Poch got sacked. Mm-hmm. What is it about this team?
It's hard to really say, but I guess it comes down to the star men they have. That's what it comes down to. Kane, Son,
match winners.
Yeah, match winners. They have been. It's not might have. They have been inconsistent this season. They haven't been the usual Kane and Son we've seen in years gone past, and that's why we are in this battle at the moment. But I just look at it like that is the difference between us and them. We looked at that 1st of January game against Man City and that performance as not a win, but we left there happy in a sense because we understood why we took the L, mistakes, similar players, similar problems. But we looked at that game as a reference to maybe turning a corner. But the reality is, if you're not beating these teams, it doesn't necessarily matter. But Tottenham are doing it the other way around. Losing at home to Southampton and Wolves back-to-back, and then beating Man City away. And
winning at Leicester. And in fairness, we did that too, and Leicester haven't been great. But then their performance against Liverpool, really good at home in that game.
The 2-2, isn't it?
Is it something to do with, we focus so much on the big six? So your show, go watch it. We focus so much on the big 6 clubs and what should happen that kind of we forget that actually basically there's 15 good teams in the Premier League. Well, actually, let's say there's 13 to 14 good teams, then there's 2 outstanding teams, and then there's 3 not great ones. And amongst that kind of middle 15, obviously there's still a gap and a difference between the best of those and the worst of those, but they can kind of all beat each other. And so actually it almost comes down to playing style and almost expectation. And so what I mean by that is Spurs are expected to dominate Southampton and Wolves at home. Mm-hmm. And so when they actually are on the back foot and then the other teams kind of shut up shop and make it difficult, they don't have the players to pick a lock in the way we've got an Odegaard or a Smith Rowe. But then when they go to the Etihad, we don't have the experience to get us through that kind of game. But they do in Son and Kane, who've been to a Champions League final and have known what it's like to get those shock results where, you know, Kane, I think, has won a good 2, 3, 4 games in his time at Spurs at the Etihad. They've done this before. So it's a weird one. Like, is it more that now? Is it more playing styles and how they clash?
It's hard to pin it down to that. It's actually hard. I look at Tottenham as a club in decline, as a club that's probably seen their best days with Harry Kane and Son, and a club that's going to have to go through a transition, you know, that good old word, to get back to where they was. And where they was a top 4 team. Obviously, it reached that one Champions League final, but, you know, never really got over the line in terms of trophies. They're at risk of fading away because I think with Antonio Conte, it's like not the last throw of the dice, but if you look at the last few managers they brought in, you know, Antonio Conte is the one where it's turned the heads of other fans, other oppositions as well, the competition around. It could just strictly come down to Conte as well, you know, the feeling and aura he brings. But then you look at the Southampton and Wolves game, the same Antonio Conte in charge, the same Tottenham team out there. It's so inconsistent, James, that I don't know what to put it down to. It's going to continue this way until the end of the season.
But then how do we readdress this inconsistency we're seeing? Because I saw a tweet the other day, which I was inclined to agree with and have agreed with many times over the last couple of years, which is that, you know, it's another top 4 race where no one really wants it and everyone's throwing it away. But then I look at Southampton and the way they played at, I keep calling it White Hart Lane, whatever it's called, how they played at Old Trafford. I look at the way they played at those grounds and think, you're a good team. Like, oh my God, like the way you're moving it around, the chances you're creating, some of the players you've got. Ward-Prowse, very good player. I like Che Adams. Broja looks a real star in the making. Salisu at the back. And I'm thinking, do we have to start readdressing this whole issue about consistency as actually just saying the league is that competitive? Because when these teams then break out and go into Europe, we've looked in the last 3-4 years, we're getting teams to the Europa League final. We're often winning the Europa League. We're getting teams to the Champions League final now. Liverpool, Chelsea winning 2 of the last 3. So maybe it is just the standard of the Premier League.
You said it at the beginning, you know, there's 2 outstanding teams, probably 3-4 very poor teams, and then there's like a middle bunch. Last season it was Leicester in the top 4 for the majority of the season. This season they've just lost to Wolves, which kind of puts them in their place in terms of they're not getting top 4 or top 6 this season. I think it comes down to the deficiencies of the sides in the middle, and more so Arsenal, Tottenham, United, because Arsenal, Tottenham and United shouldn't really be in that middle bunch. They should be closer to the outstanding. And I'm not saying be outstanding, but closer to. But we haven't been in the past few years. Arsenal especially have been in that middle bunch. I just think it's more off the pitch than on the pitch. I look at the windows, I look at Tottenham, I look at United, I look at Arsenal. It's never really worked out. This summer just gone, Arsenal's window seems to have worked out. It's put us in a position where top 4 is, you know, very possible. But I just think what these 3 clubs have done off the pitch over the years has resulted to what we've seen on the pitch. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes it's too much. I'd say Ronaldo at United was probably too much. And sometimes it's just messy. You know, you're buying players, round hole, square pegs and so on.
All that,
I think it's a mix of that. And when other teams are seeing that, like Leicester, like Everton, like Southampton, like Villa, it's giving them the belief that they can potentially overtake, potentially challenge, potentially fight toe-to-toe with us. So I think it really comes down to us and how we move in those windows. Because I've said it time and time again, the summer window is not only the time to galvanise the fan base, it's also a time to galvanise the current playing squad. It's also a time to, you know, put competition off you. And by that I mean, you want competition to be looking at what you've done in the window and be like, oh, they really had a good window. You know, they're going to be tough this season. And even though we had a good window last season, last summer, I still don't think we've had that window to deter other teams' belief. Teams still think they can come to Arsenal, get results. They still have that belief because of years gone by, regardless of the new personnel, which is a welcome upgrade. I think a few marquee signings kind of can help that. It helped Chelsea. Chelsea's marquee signings over the last couple of years have helped them create an aura. That aura is opposition fans looking at the business they've done and say they should be winning the league in the next couple of years. They're going to be a lot more difficult. Coming into this season, I thought they would be up there. I thought they'd be challenging winning the league, but they're not. And over time, that belief can dwindle because of poor results, inconsistency. And now if you look at Chelsea, I think teams go in against Chelsea very different to how they would have gone in at the start of the season. I think now teams know they can get something off Chelsea, like Arsenal, Tottenham and United too. So yeah, it comes down to that for me.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about that statement window. I mean, I put it more down to coaching when I talk about United's issues. But you look at that window, we all thought, Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo, like, wow. Yeah. And actually, if Arsenal can get top 4 this year, and actually, I think this is my expectation regardless of whether we get top 4 or not. If we get top 4, or at least top 6, I'm expecting this window to be less about the 5 or 6 who come in and are part of the cultural rebuild or whatever, because I see Saliba, Hutchinson, Patino, Balogun all strengthening the squad and adding depth here and there, maybe even Aziz. But then I'm expecting 3 players like, I'm not saying this is who I want, but just off the top of my head, like an Isaac, a Rafinha and Artemelo, who are like, the 3 are going to come in and immediately upgrade Arsenal, position or at least offer real quality and depth. Like I expect it to be kind of like 3 marquee signings that come in this summer.
Bang on. That's what I was going to say. 3 marquee signings. Obviously, along with that, you need a couple backups as well.
Absolutely.
I'd say in the middle and striker, but 3 marquee. And I think that kind of then you're not at the back end of the process, but you're at the back end of the overhaul.
Sure, absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then those players, the Smith Rowes, Odegaard, Saka's are a year older, Martinelli, Partey's another year more familiar with his position. We know he's being asked to play a completely different role. So, yeah, that's the hope. Speaking of United, who we just referenced there, they did get the win at Leeds. Before we take that, AL James says... good name, James. Says, Spurs will probably lose away to Burnley midweek. Spursy, when looking at the league, we have to realise our goal difference is an extra point on them. Last minute goals can't keep happening. That is a great point. I actually think they're going to go on a mini run now of 2-3 games because the City win would have spurred them on. But that point about goal difference is an extra point on them is a really good point because they... So what are we, 3 ahead of them? So even if we lose and they win, we're still quite comfortably ahead of them there. They will need then another match week of results to go their way. So that's a very good point.
I think tomorrow's a big... Is it tomorrow, Burnley, Tottenham?
I think it's Wednesday.
Tomorrow or Wednesday. I think that's a big one because I'd like to see whether they do keep up, the spirits from the Man City. We know whether they, whether the way Man City play benefited Tottenham. Because Burnley are in a situation now where they've got games in hand. They're in the relegation zone, and I think they're a team that didn't expect to be here.
Yeah,
and they've been fighting.
Yeah,
Burnley have pulled off a result here and there over the last few weeks.
Brighton 3-0 on the weekend.
Yeah,
wow.
You would have thought that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think Brighton are going to be up for it, and it'll be interesting to see whether Tottenham. It's going to be a very different away game. Very different. If they get past Burnley, then I'll be worried again. But if it's a draw or a 3 points, then that will leave me feeling again like Arsenal have won.
Yeah, it's almost like now this is the polar opposite. Burnley won't chase you. It's on a small pitch. Now the onus is on Tottenham again. Now go and do what you couldn't do against Southampton and Wolves. Where this gets interesting is Burnley are going to fight and scrap and all that. The header that Kane scored against City, and I hope I've not jinxed it, I don't think he scores that so easily against Burnley. Probably I don't think they let you get that run or get that cross into the box. So that's going to be interesting in itself. Add to that, even if they are to win, I expect Spurs to beat Burnley. What would worry me is if they go and win 2-3-0 comfortably, had lots of the ball, created lots of chances, I think it's clicked. Bentancur and Kulusevski, it's clicked. So we'll keep an eye on that. We mentioned not Spurs. We very much mentioned Spurs. Hopefully they're not at the start of a rising wave, but let's see. United also, after being pegged back from 2-0 up to 2-2, did win 4-2. Fred, the masterclass for substitution. I kind of expected them to win, but I always have that hope because I know what Leeds can do. Yeah. Is that just, kind of business as usual, just we move on? Yeah,
I thought Man United would get the win.
Yeah.
But when it goes back to 2-2, you have that feeling inside that, come on, a drop points would be great right now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be. Listen, like I said, in the past couple of weeks, we've been in a good place with United drawing a couple, Tottenham losing a couple. We've got the games in hand. All we can do is focus on our ones. We've got one of the rescheduled fixtures coming up now this week. Listen, we sit here right now 3 points ahead of Tottenham. We could be sitting here on Friday 6 points ahead of Tottenham, 4 points ahead of Tottenham. Or we could be sitting here level on points with Tottenham. That's how mad this league is turning out to be this season. It's so hard to predict week by week what the table is going to look like in that top 4 battle, let alone try and predict at the end of the season what's going to happen. Because a couple poor results, a couple poor performances, a team that's 4th right now can see themselves 8th.
Yeah.
A couple good results performances, a team 8th can see themselves 4th. That's how different,
we thought the title race was over, and now they're 6 points behind with a game in hand, Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole season, I think this weekend got blown wide open to a point where you saw Arsenal perform well, win. Man United perform well, win. Shocking at the back, but perform well and win. Spurs go to the Etihad and show that they're not out of this. Yeah. And then you've got Liverpool, who again just do what Liverpool do. City being pulled back, and the whole season suddenly feels blown open. Norwich, I know they didn't win, but they go a goal up at Liverpool. We haven't done that. You've got Burnley winning 3-0 at Brighton. Newcastle, you thought, well, they're sealing it now. Did well at West Ham to get a point, but now that suddenly doesn't look enough because of what Burnley did.
Even Chelsea's last-minute goal was a big one.
There you go. Yeah,
I believe it's a big if, because we've got Chelsea and Spurs away. But if games in hand go our way and whatnot, Chelsea are not too far off a top 4 battle. So that goal, last 89th minute, 90th minute, was a big one for them. Big one, just to keep that cushion in place.
Yeah.
But Chelsea, I think they know they're not winning the league this season, so it's all about securing that top 4 spot.
Yeah.
But some of their results since November, a lot of draws, a lot of drop points. They kind of slowly but surely not dragged back in it because other teams have games in hand, and the games in hand are not points on the board.
Yeah.
But it left you in a position where if you looked at the games in hand, you accumulated points, they'd be very much in and around that ballpark.
Yeah.
So that win was even big for them.
Very true. Chaitanya says, look at us next 7 fixtures. We need a minimum of 15 points to put us in a good place for the end of the season. Wolves and then Villa away will be crucial. We're going to Villa away, aren't we?
Yeah.
I made sure to book that in with Robbie today. Paul says, if Xhaka got away with the crap McTominay gets away with, we'd be higher on the table. It's a joke. I've got to say, McTominay did get away with murder yesterday, didn't he? But then I didn't really have a problem. Listen, there were fouls in there, and there were probably yellow card bookings, but there was nothing in there that I thought was dirty or malicious. I thought, okay, the one he got a yellow for, I thought that's not great. But the rest of it, I thought he's just he's putting himself about or whatever. And that's kind of, I think, how we more want the game to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the penalty appeal we had when who was it? The Brentford player that tried to block the shot and he had his arm in the air. Mm-hmm. After that, I said, you know what? Like, referees have made mistakes in the past few years. In order to get the game back to where it should be in terms of refereeing standard, you got to start pulling back on some of these poor decisions.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an example of it. But then you go see Man City's penalty against Tottenham. It was pretty much the same thing, which was given.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really do it any justice,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're working together on it, or are they all individuals? Are they freelance referees just being booked? Or is there actually an organisation?
So I thought the Pepe one was the Stonewall one for me. I just thought he's danced in, he's got, and I'm thinking, come on, VAR.
Yeah.
Surely something. The Ben White one as well gets kicked, but listen, I don't know. People can kick us. I mean, I'll never forget James McArthur just slicing Saka in half, and Arsenal weren't great that day, but you've got to get those decisions right. We were 1-0 up at the time. We win that game comfortably. So yeah, frustrating. But we got people in the comments. I wasn't going to talk about this. We got people in the comment section. Ash saying overscoring again. James, Turkish thoughts. We got SJH saying I'm pissed that Aubameyang is scoring goals for fun at Barcelona. Before I get your opinion, I want to hear what you think about all this. I'm just going to come in and just say we love Aubameyang, right? We did the video, the thanks for everything, and everyone gave their thoughts about kind of where they fell. I think we both said he was one of the best players of the Emirates era. So we love the guy. But let's stop let's not rewrite history and now be saying he's scoring for fun for Barcelona. Really great first goal.
Yeah, finish.
Great finish. Second goal, I don't say tap in because well done for finding the space and getting there. But you expect him to score that. Third one bounces off his back.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was given to him until after.
Right. It was. So that, I think, was his third appearance for Barcelona. He started in the Napoli game, which I watched in midweek. Really struggled to have any impact. We wish him all the best. Mm-hmm. He's a really good goal scorer. But we know that he didn't leave because of his ability as a player.
Yeah.
We know that. So people need to just kind of stop this whole, see, he wasn't finished, he's gone to Barcelona, scoring loads of goals, all that. I don't think any right-minded Arsenal fan ever really questioned that. We know, we knew he's probably not the player he was like a year or two ago, but also we knew he was still a very good goal scorer who's left. He's gone for different reasons. Just swallow it, accept it, move on. Or am I being too...
No,
am I defending Arteta too much, as I tend to always do?
No, the way I see it is, we won't know until the summer. We won't know until May how much of an impact this Oba situation and transfer has had. Come May, let's say we're top 4.
Right.
No one's going to be talking about Oba's hat-trick yesterday or whatever he did. He could score 26 goals from now until the end of the season. If we make top 4, no one's going to care. It's easier to talk now. I do think the lack of incomings in January will cost us this season, and I think if that was to happen, then you discuss things like this and you discuss whether it was more worthwhile keeping Oba or not, because we didn't achieve the target. But I think at the same time, there's something there that we can go for, since Oba's been sold or let go, or since we've gave them money and Oba, or however people want to see it. We've won 2 games. Yeah. I believe.
Yeah,
Wolves and Brentford. So, and in that time, Tottenham have lost a couple, United have drawn a couple. So, my mind's off Oba.
Yeah.
After Burnley 0-0, I was very much, the season is over, and not replacing Oba is going to really come back and haunt us. I do still believe it will, but at the same time, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on what we can do, and what we can do is still get top 4.
I think that's all we can do, and wish them all the best.
That's probably the fairest way to look at it. Because listen, we've made mistakes in the past where Van Persie tried to tell us the reality at Arsenal Football Club, and we didn't listen. We turned our back on him, and maybe 6-7 years later we look back at it and we say, what, he was right. Fabregas, maybe the same. A few players over the years, we might look back and say maybe we should have listened to them. But it might be the same situation, but it doesn't feel the same situation. It feels like, if it does feel like Arsenal in terms of behind the scenes, and when I say behind the scenes, I don't mean anything more than the players on the pitch and the manager. It seems that things have changed behind the scenes in terms of
expectation.
Not expectation, mood.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of mood, I think the mood is very different with this young squad. They seem happy, anytime they've been brought back down to earth this season, whether it's the first 3 games of the season, whether it's the 3 away ones in November, December, we've bounced back. And that's credit to them, and I guess that's credit to the mood and the aura around the dressing room and behind the scenes. Making it about Oba for the rest of the season doesn't bode well for them, and that's what I don't want to do. But then listen, if we play Wolves this week, if we go into Watford, Liverpool and Aston Villa, and then those 4 games pass and we score 1 in those 4 or 2 in those 4, and out of 12 points we get 5 or 6, then I guess the Oba situation, the story comes back, especially if he continues scoring goals. At the moment, he's had a great start to his Barca career. Okay, he's got his first goal, but it's a hat-trick. And at the moment, we've had a great rebound to the news of losing him without an incoming. So right now, I'd say, okay, I've seen Oba score a hat-trick, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on what we're doing, and at the moment we're winning games. We've got a decent fixture schedule coming up, so let's see if they can get it done. They've made the decision at the end of the day. So, all we can do is wait. We can talk about Oba's hat-trick, we can talk about whether it was right or wrong, but essentially we won't know for sure until the summer.
I think we always knew once he got his first goal or 2 that this was basically going to be the...
La Liga's a more open league, there's more space. It will suit someone like him who wants space to run into. It's not as competitive. Technically, it's still a great league, but I just think it suits him more in the Premier League too. So it's not a guarantee that he would have picked up form again here either. Like you said, we can't fool ourselves to say he was the striker we come to love, because he wasn't over the last 18 months or so. But at the same time, I agree with you, he's still better than Eddie and Laka. But if we get top 4, who cares what we've done in January? That's
the reality of it. Ash says, I love Aubameyang, but just wondered what your thoughts were. As like you said, he did so much for the club. Yeah, Ash, my issue wasn't with your question, actually. I thought it was, we know that this kind of stuff's going to come up. I just saw some of the reaction online. I just thought,
because it's you know what it is? Everyone's got some sort of an agenda, whether it's to get on Arteta's back, whether it's to get on Edu's back, the players' back, Kroenke's back. Everyone's got something that they believe is a problem at the football club. What I don't like is when people let the agenda cloud the reality. And the reality is, yes, Oba scored a hat-trick, but we've got 6 points out of 6. But if we didn't have 6 points out of 6, then I'd probably be moaning more about Oba right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's just, we've got to take each game as it comes. And in reality, like I said, end of the season come May is when we can look back at January and truly assess whether, in Arteta's words, Edu's job was a fantastic one in January.
Yeah,
that's when we can assess it. We won't be able to assess it from now until then, or maybe we can assess it
I think we'll assess it in the summer when we see who we bring in and what we're paying for them. We might go, that's why we had to make so much room or whatever.
Top
maybe
4 will eliminate that. Even if we got top 4, no one will think about or care about Oba.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
and then the window will come, and
that's very true. Jack says Aubameyang just needed some confidence, needed an arm around his shoulders. David, on the other hand, though, says Aubameyang's not our player anymore. We have to move on. Also, he scored against Valencia, who are letting in lots of goals this season. I agree. Time to move on from the Aubameyang stuff. Shress says 2 signings in midfield for Spurs, which work. 1 attack signing from Klopp, which works. We couldn't find anyone. If we don't get top 4, does it mean we dumb? Well, I don't know. Again, you kind of touched on that. We will see. Eric says Arsenal wants Isaac. He plays in La Liga. Yeah, very true, Eric. Benny says, out of the players out on loan now, who do you see coming to the first team next year, making an impact? Who do you want to see? Would love Torreira. I think Torreira was always good enough as a squad player, personally. I think the Guendouzi ship has sailed, and then I think Saliba will have a part to play. Is there anyone I'm missing? I actually think Mari will continue to be a part of the squad.
Yeah, I just want Saliba to be back.
Yeah.
I just want him to be back because it will eliminate something we need to do. If we get Saliba back, Holding goes to 4th choice centre back, and okay, we go into next season. I'm calm with centre backs. Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White, Holding, whatever. Cedric, Tomiyasu, right backs. Tavares, Tierney, left backs. Ramsdale, Turner, goalkeepers. Defensively, would be happy with what we go in with. Then it allows us to focus on central midfield. It allows us to focus on the striker and the winger potentially.
Yeah.
So I think Saliba is the key. Out of all the ones that are out on loan right now, for me, Saliba is the one that will need to come back into this team.
Why Gabriel Saliba is a pretty mouth-watering 3, especially when you think they could be that for the next 5-10 years. I mean, listen, football doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But that is a great 3.
If Saliba's as good as everyone says, then one of these defenders come end of the 22-23 season won't be happy with game time. But at the same time,
that's a good point.
Pep's created an environment at City where competition is the key to their success. I guess that's Arteta's model, and he's got to find a way to manage and make it work.
Yeah,
we'll have to see. Saliba definitely deserves to come back in. His last couple loans of work boded well for him. He's come out flying colours, so he needs to come in now. But it'll be interesting. It's a good problem to have.
Bro, I'm excited about it.
We haven't had a problem like that defensively.
At centre back.
Yeah, since probably Keown days.
Do you know what? Give me a really good backup right back. Listen, I quite like Cedric as a backup, but give me a really good promising, like a Tavares at right back, like Jed Spence, say, who I know is also quite powerful, gets up and down, good defensively. And then this will be the most complete roster of defenders I can remember at Arsenal.
Yeah, maybe that Jed Spence, maybe he comes in for a homegrown quota and he'll be on less wages than Cedric, and maybe that allows some more flexibility. But I really want us to focus this summer on the positions we are in dire need.
Yeah.
Same positions we was dire in need of last summer. Striker and central midfielder. Now, get it done.
Yeah, very true. Lubert with the super chat says, waiting for Big Six as always. But today especially because I want to see Toby getting on Big Steve. Love from Goa in India. Oh, I love that, man. Yeah, I think we'll all be tuning into that.
Yeah, I know. It's nearly got 100 likes already. It's not even live till 9 p.m. Yeah, it's mad.
Oh, we'll enjoy that tonight. I'll be tuning in. I look forward to seeing... I don't know, I feel like Toby might go nice on him.
He might do.
He might just take the heat off and just say, listen, I'll enjoy this.
He's been a damaged man over the last couple of weeks, so I don't know how he's going to bounce back from that. I don't know if he's going to be chest out pina coladas or if he's going to be on a humble one, knowing that Burnley might just turn that screw come midweek.
Do you know what? I don't like Tottenham, but I hope Toby enjoys it. I hope he enjoys this one, because I've been watching the Big Six the last few episodes. I've actually felt for him, man.
You know what's mad?
Been absolutely torn.
I saw him.
He's handled it so well
on the way into the office for the watch along. On Saturday. I just pulled up near Enfield Lock Station because there's a little shop there, grab a Red Bull on the way and whatnot. Obviously, it's like 11 in the morning. I pull up, park up, get out the car. There's a cab in front of me. I allow the cab to just pass. Who gets out? Toby.
No way.
He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what are you doing here? So we'd have a little conversation. He's like, I'm on the way to Manchester and whatnot. We had a little discussion about it, and I was just like to him, you're just going for the vibes though, really.
Oh, no.
And he was just like, yeah. He said, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the end, it turned out to be a massive win for them. So I'm sure he's going to be, like, if you see his Twitter right now, he's losing it again.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't check
We could do this and we could do that. And
I don't follow Tottenham fans. I actually do follow him, but I try to avoid all the Tottenham enjoyment.
Follow him, but mute him.
I try to avoid all the Tottenham enjoyment. Let's talk about Smith Rowe, who got the opening goal. Mikel Arteta said he can play on the left, he can play in the middle, and he can even play as a 9 very, very well. I say that because those are his quotes. I'm not taking the piss. That'd be really rude. But yeah, and I wondered whether that was a little dig to the fans. You had an issue with when he played false 9 the first time. As you said, he wants to copy the Man City playbook, the Guardiola model, literally step by step. We've seen De Bruyne false 9, Foden false 9, Bernardo Silva false 9. We've seen the lot, Sterling false 9. So how long, when you marry that school of thought and plus his quotes on Smith Rowe, how long before Smith Rowe is leading the line, and maybe Lacazette does have to worry a little bit more about his place in the team than we thought?
Yeah, I hope he's not sending shots or shade about it, because obviously the first time he done it didn't work. Hence why
it worked horribly. We were terrible that game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So hence why there was a lot of criticism about it. No one wants Emil Smith Rowe to succeed more than Arsenal fans, you know. So whether he's played up front on the left or number 10, we want him to do well. It's just that one time we seen it didn't work well.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was one of our worst performances under Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
But we are a different team to them last season, a lot of different personnel, and the false 9 gets utilised more and more often across big clubs. It's an option, but like with anything, it has to work for the fans to get behind it. You know, it's one thing saying it, it's one thing seeing it in training, it's another thing it working out there. Probably something we might have to touch in on because of the lack of options up front.
Yeah.
But if he's confident about it, listen.
He's showing he can score.
He definitely. Listen, Emil Smith Rowe's output this season has been amazing.
Yeah.
I never expected it.
More than I could ever have expected from his first full season.
He's took on the number 10 shirt. He's took on the new contract well. You know, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. I still think it's probably the wrong decision. But, you know, he's taken it in his stride. He's kicked on. He's developed well. And he's a key part of our squad now. Whether he's a key part of the first 11 or squad in years to come, that will kind of formulate itself. Because now the question is, do you bring Martinelli back in or do you play Smith Rowe? Whereas in November, everyone wanted Martinelli. Yeah. In September, October, I think Odegaard was on the bench. So they're all fighting, and that's what you want. You want them to fight, and you want them when given a chance to perform. Yeah. And Emil Smith Rowe stepped in, got a key goal. So in reality, you know, Martinelli's on the bench for the next game, unless Martinelli goes up top.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But Martinelli's been so good. Can we really not bring him in against Wolves, especially?
We can, but it'll be up top. It would have to be up top, unless the false 9 starts against Wolves.
Or you let the 3 all kind of float around. They can all play right, left, central.
Maybe that's why he said the quotes about very, very well. Maybe that's his idea against Wolves. For us.
Wow. Hey, that would be... Do you know what? I didn't even think, actually, Martinelli's got to find a way back in. Can you really drop Smith Rowe? I don't know. Anyway, let us know in the comments. We'll read out the comments towards the end of the show. We're wrapping up very soon. Just before we do the last bit of news, Jack Wilshere has found a club, AGF in Denmark. Listen, wish him all the best. We know he's trained for Arsenal. I think during that spell where we were lacking in midfield and we didn't bring him in, that's when I thought... And I mean, it's all just... I love Jack Wilshere, one of my favourite ever players, which is crazy when you look at the players we've had and the success they've had. For him to be one of my favourite, it's about what Arsenal meant to him and the way he treated Tottenham and what he gave for the badge, and also the talent that was there, that was robbed from him by injuries. So I love the guy. But I think I kind of realised towards the end of January, once we got through that run, I thought, he's not good enough.
Yeah.
He's just not good enough.
I pretty much knew that straight away. I mean, if you're struggling to find a club at that age...
Yeah, Bournemouth have let you go.
The talent we've seen you show over the years when you have been fit, I think that kind of says a lot. You know, it says a lot. And then the fact that he signed for this Danish club. Danish? Are they Danish?
Yeah, I believe so.
Club, which, let's be honest, he's done. You know, it's probably his last club. probably coaching after this. It's a shame. Could have been a big player. Just it never worked out.
I really feel for him, man. I mean, the recurring injuries, how bad an injury he got when he was so young. And I don't know, people question other things, but I just think the talent was always there, and I think the determination to make it was there. I just think, I don't know. I don't know. Look, I'm glad he found a club. I really hope he enjoys it. I mean, he'll have a great time. I'm sure he'll be one of the best players. I don't know what makes me say that. Nostalgia, probably.
Let's hope so.
But then I hope he's got an involvement with Arsenal going forward. I know he was kind of, I think, learning under Mertesacker a little bit when it came to the academy, and he was doing his Talk Sport stuff. And I hope we see him do more of that, because he's got this kind of quiet charm about him. Do you know? Like, I was watching on Talk Sport, my first reaction was, he's not much of a talker, is he? But actually, I think he kind of came through more. And
do you know what's funny? Like, and I'm not against what you're saying. My thing is, put yourself in my shoes in like 2008, 2009, 2010. And I was saying the same things about real legends at this football club. Tony Adams, he needs to be in and around the club. Henry, Martin Keown, Dennis Bergkamp, Mark Overmars, Vieira. These players should be a part of it. But the reason they wasn't a part of it is because they didn't agree with what Arsenal were doing and how they were, moving in what direction. That's why they wasn't a part of it. Now, we haven't turned the corner in terms of ownership or ambition or direction just yet for me to say, you know what, if he comes in and works through the side, I'm happy. Because at the moment, over the last 10 years, any player that I've seen come to work for Arsenal Football Club has essentially been part of the soul dreams, been part of the downfall, the decline. Maybe not the face of it, but, I look at Perez and I look at Parla and I look at a few other names in and around that have worked with the club over the last 10, 15 years, and the names that haven't. Yeah. And there's a stark contrast, and that the names that haven't have either been shafted because they're too ambitious. David O'Leary is another one. When we got Arteta and Edu, David O'Leary wanted to be part of the board. He wasn't allowed to. You have to ask yourself why, because the club still want to remain very much. That's why even if Jack Wilshere comes and starts coaching with Arsenal, I like Jack. I do, but I'd be wary that he's, falling into line, let's say.
Well, we wish him all the best. As I said, I'm sure he'll go smash it. Shresh says, really doubt big experienced players would want to join Arsenal if we don't get top four. Even if we get Champions League, who would trust him? But talented kids, he's not Conte, Klopp. Listen, I think if Arteta gets this very young Arsenal side into the top four, with two of our key players being Hale End graduates, and of the summer they had in which he spent a load of money on players no one expected to do well and actually are doing well, I think Arteta's stock will rise significantly. People will start going, fair enough. We didn't expect us to get top four. A lot of people wrote us off. People still are writing us off. And I know the whole no Europe, no other competition, no distractions. I get that. But if he could do that whilst overseeing an overhaul, I know it's been bad/iffy/okay till now. But I think that would be a real jump in his in the way Arteta's looked and respected in the game. Yeah. Personally. Yeah. Let us know what you guys think. We're going to round it off there unless there's anything else. Sidan says, I was so worried about Wilshere when he started training with Arsenal. Thankfully, he found a bigger... I'm done. How's that? How have you ended the show like that?
That was a good one. You thought it was a serious one.
I thought it was serious. Yeah, I was worried for him, but then he ends... I'm done. I can't believe that was the end. Oh my God. Any final words?
Cronky out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Always.
Consistent. Guys, as always, lots of content coming out on the channel, and lots of that's come out actually today. Bayer's Premier League show was earlier today with Ty and White Yardie. Ty's always got a problem. I love Ty to bits, but he's got someone else he's got a problem with this week, so yeah, enjoy that. Just don't take it too seriously. And then Tactical Insight, which was earlier today. In fact, we've got a little clip to show you just a little bit that Graham and I were discussing when it comes to this race for top four and why Arsenal might have found a consistency that could be key. Have a little look at this.
There was no organisation between their press, James. I think the back three were very deep. The front two were trying to press, but there were holes between the teams. So Odegaard was helped by the way they played, I thought. I thought they left spaces for him to exploit, but for all that, he exploited it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to go into something else, just in terms of how crucial the win against Brentford was. I know, United went and won in Leeds pretty emphatically as well, 4-2. Spurs, that heart-wrenching sort of 3-2 win at City. I wanted to give a little bit of context to the top 4 race and why these games against Brentford matter. Starting with this that I'm bringing up on screen now. These are the 5 teams in the race for top 4, as things stand anyway. And I've looked at how many points they're picking up against sides outside the traditional Big 6. And I say that in quote marks, where you include Man City, Chelsea, United, Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal. Now, in terms of total points, Arsenal managed 39 out of 51, averaging 2.29. Now, that is the best average in terms of points, average points against teams outside the Big 6. So yeah, that's the Tactical Insight show, guys. Let us know. Do you think those numbers mean anything for Arsenal? It's put us in a good position in terms of finding a degree of consistency when it comes to certain fixtures we're expected to win. But yeah, we break that down and more on Tactical Insight. Turkish, as always, thanks very much.
No worries, bro.
Guys, a big thank you to all of you. That was some of the latest Arsenal news and reaction to the weekend. Do like this video if you enjoyed it. Smash the like button. It's there. It's wherever it is, somewhere in that corner. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because there's all sorts of content coming out. Remember, it's Wolves this Thursday night. After only 2 weeks ago where we celebrated like nothing before, they're back at our ground seeking revenge. So let's hope we
get the job done again.
We've got to repeat what happened 2 weeks ago. Many thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.